So before I begin this episode, you may be wondering, Tom, what is this? This isn't FNAF. What's going on? So, for those of you who are brand new to the channel, and most of you are because I've gained a lot more subscribers, welcome subscribers, what you're about to watch is Reviewed, which is a show that has been on hiatus for about 6 months now, and I figured it was the best time to bring it back just because the libraries are now doing contactless pickup, which makes it possible to get the materials that I need for the remainder of the show, which is why in the bio of my channel you'll notice that I've written, due to the coronavirus pandemic, it's currently on hiatus, but it is finally back. I'm finally bringing it back. I know it's not the kind of traditional content that I make, because this is the kind of the leftover thing that I told you about that I was going to be doing. I was going to bring it back eventually. I didn't know when it was going to happen, but now that the library is doing what they're doing now, it does make it possible for me to actually get the things I need. So I'm finally returning with the show. It is also my birthday. I am 24 today. It's pretty incredible. Only 6 more years to go until I'm 30, which is crazy. But for those of you who have recently joined the channel and I have no idea what Reviewed is, Reviewed is a review show that I started in March 2016, where I basically review movies both old and new, and I would do it on a weekly basis. There was a couple of times where I had to stop because I had to take breaks or something like that, and that would happen, but for the most part it's been weekly, and the only reason I had to stop doing it is because of the coronavirus. And now that it's a little bit easier to actually get stuff in the library, they're still closed but they're like open sort of, it does allow me to get the things I need. So I know this isn't the typical FNAF thing you get from me, but I wanted to get these last 4 episodes out for you guys because I want to finish the show and say goodbye to it as something that I had left over from before I switched everything to FNAF, and that was when I had my 1,000 subscriber milestone video last time explaining everything. So yeah, for those of you who are new, that's exactly what this show is. It's a review show that I've been doing for a long time, and the only reason I've stopped it is because of the coronavirus. So yeah, anyway, that's enough for me. Please enjoy the return of Reviewed.
Hello everyone, my name is the Ultimate Spy, and welcome back to Reviewed. This will be Reviewed number 197, and today I'm going to be reviewing Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, the sequel to 2016's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
So, what did I think of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald? Honestly, I thought it was amazing. Despite what it got at the box office and the reviews it got, I thought it was amazing, honestly. It was incredible. It was so much better than the first one, for sure, like a lot better. It was just like, it's an incredible film. I mean, it just surprised me so much when I watched it in the theater for the first time. I've only seen it a couple of times when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since. But, like, there's a couple things I can say about it. First off, the music. Oh my god, the music is so good. It's just so magical. I just love it. I mean, it's obviously the same kind of music that you heard in the first film, but it's just like, I don't know, I just love it. It's that, Harry Potter universe style stuff. You get a little bit of the Hedwig's theme in there, which is fantastic. And just overall, the music is the best part of it. It's just fantastic. I loved how it sets the mood for everything in this movie. The film itself takes place about 5 months after the first film. I think the first film took place in the very tail end of 1926, which kind of makes it, sense for the, 5 minutes later for it to be set in 1927. So, we got a timeline, obviously. I know it looks like a year, but when the film first came out, it was confirmed that it was set 5 months after, which is fantastic. I like the whole multicultural thing with the Wizarding World, where it's like different ministries. It's really cool. You got the American ministry, you got the the British one we all know and love from Harry Potter, and then we have the Friends ministry, which is fantastic. I love the diversity in this film. It's so interesting. As far as I know, those are the only ministries we've gotten. I'm sure there's more in the world itself, but we've gotten this 3. It's just fantastic. I like that idea. What was really cool is the beginning scene, that opening scene. Probably one of my favorite in the film, outside from Hogwarts, of course, is the Thestrals. They return from Order of the Phoenix. Obviously, if you remember, the Thestrals are these creatures that we are first introduced to in the Order of the Phoenix, and people can only see them if they've seen death. So it kind of begs the question of if the people in that tower have seen death. And they might have. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting idea to think about. It's like, oh, maybe they've seen death, and no one knows. So it's interesting. It's like a really cool little nod to Order of the Phoenix guys when we first saw them. It's like, oh yeah, I remember those things, kind of thing. It's just really cool. That's why I loved seeing the Thestrals again. They were fantastic. Another couple of things that came back from the Harry Potter films are brooms. Twice we see brooms, which is fantastic, and then also Polyjuice Potion a couple of times. Brooms are seen in the opening scene as well as the Hogwarts scene. I mean, it's obviously like during the 20s era, but still, it's freaking brooms. I definitely feel like Hogwarts is pretty much ageless because it doesn't matter what time period you look at it. It's always gonna look the same. It's kind of like the new Harry Potter game we're getting next year. It's very similar to that. Like, you know, it never ages no matter what time period it is. So I love that we have brooms. We have also Polyjuice Potion because that's the thing that happens twice. Once where Grindelwald, he uses Polyjuice Potion just to sneak out of his prison thing, and then also we have Newt turning into his brother. I love the use of Polyjuice Potion in this film. It's just fantastic because we've only seen that like twice. First in Chamber of Secrets, and then the next in Deathly Hallows Part 2, I'm pretty sure. So it's just very interesting and very cool. I think it might have been Part 1 as well. I remember, it's been a long time since I've seen the movies, but still, just really cool. And one thing I've noticed in this film is that a lot of wizards and witches actually don't actually have to say the spell they're casting. Some of them do, like Newt does say a couple of times the spell he's casting, but most of the time everyone just, you know, doesn't say anything. They just do the wave their wand and that's it. Especially Grindelwald, he doesn't say a word. He's like casting a spell. Again, not everyone. There are multiple times throughout the film where we hear someone actually cast a spell and say the spell name, but most of the time it's them just like, you know, waving their wand. Which I feel like within the lore of the Harry Potter universe, that has something to do with how good the wizard or witch is. Like it might mean that they're how skilled they are with the wand. Like, are they able to master that? Because I know in the Order of the Phoenix, Harry must have gotten really good at using his wand. The fact that he didn't actually need to say the spell. So I think it really has to do with, you know, how good a wizard is with the wand to you know, not how to actually say the spell. I think it really depends on that. So it's very interesting how, you know, we've had a lot of people casting spells, and some of them just wave their wands and that's it. So it might very well have something to do with the skill level. I'm pretty sure. So correct me in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure, you know, that has a lot to do with skill levels. So, and one character that was introduced in this film, which is very interesting because it kind of expands upon that family tree. I'll get to the other one later, but the first one is Zoe Kravitz, who plays Lita Lestrange. And first of all, the actress herself is gorgeous, and second of all, she is American, and she's doing a phenomenal job with a British accent. Like she sounds like she's from the UK, but she's not. She is obviously American, but she plays Lita Lestrange, who's, I don't know what, if she's like a descendant of the Lestrange family, like, you know, close to Bellatrix, but she's definitely part of that family. I don't know how up where Bellatrix and Lita fall. Like, I don't know if they're distant cousins or something like that, but like they're definitely on the family tree. So it's very interesting. I kind of like that. It was a you know a very well played role, and I think she did a really good job. And she is just like, she's striking. Like, oh my god, she is very attractive. That's always been true. So, you know, she was great in X-Men, the First Class, and she's great in this film too. So it's very easy to distinguish between, you know, her being an American versus her playing a Brit in this film. So, you know, it's very, you can tell the difference. And one thing I noticed in this film, I don't know whether or not I touched on it in my episode of the first film, but Newt Scamander, it's pretty clear that he is on the spectrum because of the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he, you know, makes eye contact. I myself am on the spectrum, and I can definitely tell that he's on the spectrum. Actually, the actor himself actually confirmed that he probably is, just because of the way the character was described to him by J.K. Rowling. Like, you know, the way he walks and talks and has a hard time making eye contact. It's pretty clear that he's on the spectrum. He definitely has autism, which is very interesting. I like how that was portrayed. I don't think I really touched on that at all in my review for the first one. It's definitely a trait of his, so it's very interesting. And I gotta say, hands down, the visual effects in this movie are fantastic. They're really cool and overall really well done. The magic in terms of just like, you know, visuals you see, you know, the spells being cast, everything. It's just overall really appealing, and I really feel like they've updated it, kind of, I don't know, almost like taking the third movie into account and then going from there, like how the visual effects were that good. I mean, obviously time has passed, a lot of time has passed since the last big Harry Potter film in 2011, but still, like, the visual effects in this film are incredible, and I was really blown away with them. And one thing that I felt might have been a slight continuity error, but I really couldn't tell. It was really hard to like pinpoint if it was just a haircut he got, but In this film, Grindelwald, at the beginning of the film, he has long hair. And one thinks that, oh, because in the first film he had short hair, and after 5 months, his hair just grew out. That's how it worked. And then again, the film gun cuts after we see Grindelwald again, after he escapes, and he has short hair again. Actually, he has the exact same hairstyle he had at the end of the first film, which is very confusing. It's like, I'm not sure if that's a continuity error, or if it's just the fact that he grew his hair out when he was in prison, and then he cut his hair again to literally the exact same hairstyle. I don't know. It's really bizarre. I don't know if that's a continuity error or not, but it was definitely hard to understand. Like, okay, what the hell's going on here? So yeah, I didn't quite understand that. One thing I find interesting about how Jude Law portrays Dumbledore is that, because obviously playing young Albus Dumbledore in this film, I'm not saying that he was badly cast. I'm just not saying that he was probably the best choice for them to cast. My family could agree on that as well. I don't know. I don't think he does the best job at portraying him in terms of, like, embodying who Michael Gambon or Richard Harris was. I mean, obviously he's aiming more for Michael Gambon because Michael Gambon played Dumbledore with a kind of, like, mixed accents, but not quite as crazy and weird as Jude Law did, because Michael Gambon did, like, a kind of that, a British-Irish accent kind of mixed in between. It was sometimes Irish, sometimes British. I mean, mostly British, obviously. But Jude Law kind of played around with it, because a lot of the time you hear him talk normally like every other Brit in the film, and then sometimes they'll slip in a word like that's clearly Irish. Like there's a couple of lines like following order, which is orders, and then bird. So it's like, it's really confusing. I was not a huge fan of that. I was like, okay, what is he trying to go for? Is he trying to go English, Irish? What's going on here? Like, pick an accent kind of thing. It was a little weird because, like, I know it's clear that he's trying to mimic Michael Gambon. Obviously, that's the idea. Like, that's the more recognizable version of Dumbledore, because everyone knows Michael Gambon as playing Dumbledore, and that's the iconic role. I mean, everyone knows that the better version is Richard Harris, obviously. But I feel like Jude Law did a really good job. But I don't feel like he was particularly well cast just because of what it was doing with his accents. It was just, I'm like, okay, pick an accent already. You try to mimic, Michael Gambon, I get it, but like, it was just confusing. It was like, okay, this is just probably not the best choice for casting. They probably could have chosen a different actor. So just my opinion, but still, a little confusing. One thing that was pretty clear in this film is that Bunty, Newt's assistant, it's a pretty big crush on him. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's interesting because, like, I'm pretty sure she was in the first film. I'm fairly certain. I might be wrong about that, but because it's been a while since I've seen the first one. But like, in Newt's suitcase, this is where his little Fantastic Beast sanctuary is. He has a female assistant, and it's pretty clear that she has a crush on him. It's massively clear. Like, there's no doubt about that. Like, it's the way she talks to him, the way she looks at him. It's hilariously obvious. It's like, oh, that's so cute, Obviously, Newt is more interested in Tina, but still, it's just so cute. And on top of that, I love how each magical beast in this film, much like the first one, I'm pretty sure, we actually get to see a little more of the beast's environments, but like, it's just so cool how each of them have their own environment. It's like, obviously it's magic. That's why each of them has their own environment, and each of them has like, it looks like there's just a whole different world with each environment. But it's like, it's just so cool. I love it. I love the effect, and it's just really well done. And this film, along with understanding who Credence actually is, we actually get the origin story for Nagini, Voldemort's pet snake, and it's interesting because originally she was a woman. I mean, her name is Nagini, but like she has the ability to transform into a snake via a woman. She's played by the beautiful Claudia Kim. You may know her from Age of Ultron. She played Helen Cho, the Asian doctor. I don't know exactly where in Asia she's from, but she played that, and she is not only beautiful in this one, but just like the way she portrays Nagini and everything like that, like, it's just really fascinating. And the idea of the fact that she's starts as a woman and then becomes Nagini the snake is just so cool. I love it. It's so interesting. Another thing that was used in this film more than the first one was operating. And obviously, for those of you who are die-hard Harry Potter fans like me, the operating is basically the way of teleporting for wizards. The operating is from going from place to the next place, and then you have I don't know I don't know the difference between disapparating and operating. And I know that operating you go from place to place, but it's like disapparating, I guess you're already there. I don't know. It's confusing, but yeah, operating is used a lot more in this film than the first one. I don't know how often it was used in the first one because it's been a while since I've seen it, but I definitely feel like operating was used a lot more. Also, get to see a port key, which is really cool. Just like a lot of Harry Potter universe stuff that was used in this film. Not like flute powder or anything like that, but like still really cool stuff. And I loved it. It was just so cool to see that again. You know, just ever since Half-Blood Prince came out, apparating has been a thing for wizards, and it's basically their way of teleporting. Essentially, it's very cool. Now, one of my favorite scenes in this film, along with the first scene we see in this film, obviously, like I mentioned before, is the Hogwarts scene. That was just a slice of nostalgic, and it was so cool. My God, I was just nerding out when I saw Hogwarts again. I mean, obviously it's a scaled down model of Hogwarts for the panning shots, clearly, but like still, it's so cool. Hedwig's theme, although everyone knows as just the Harry Potter theme, but still, like, it's awesome. And it's interesting because I don't know if it's a continuity or something like that, but like in terms of timeline, but like this is a Hogwarts set in the 1920s. I mean, regardless, it doesn't really change how it looks. It's the same place. I mean, it might have different, professors and stuff like that, different students, but it's the same place. But like, since it's set in the 1920s, we see a young Minerva McGonagall, and it's interesting because like this film takes place 7 years before Harry Potter does, which is in the 1990s. That means that, judging from how old McGonagall is in this film, which is probably in her 30s because she's that young, that would make her over 100 in the Harry Potter film, which doesn't really make sense because, like, I assume that she was in her 70s, 80s, or 90s, although she's a witch, so age doesn't really matter that much. Although I don't know. But it's just like, I don't know if it's a continuity error, but like, I don't know if it really matches out that well. I don't know. I don't know how old McGonagall was in this film, because obviously in the Harry Potter film she's an older witch, but still, like, it was a little bit confusing. The same thing with Dumbledore. Like, obviously Dumbledore is, very old for his age in the Harry Potter films, but like in this film he's played as like a, I don't know, 30s or 40 years or something like that. I don't know how old he's meant to be portrayed in this film, but like if it's only 70 years, he's probably over 100 in that film. So it might line up exactly, but it's like I almost feel like it's a bit of a continuity error with timeline, so I wasn't 100% sure about that. We also get to see Quidditch players, which is really cool. I freaking love that. That was so cool. Seeing Hogwarts again is just awesome. Like, the Phoenix Against the Dark Arts classroom, the most iconic classroom in all of Hogwarts. The Great Hall again, which is so cool. Everything about the Hogwarts scenes were so cool. Just like everything about it. It's amazing. So it was just a giant size of nostalgia for me, especially since we hadn't seen Hogwarts in 7 years, technically, because of the last film that came out was Part 2. So just so cool. Now, one thing that I noticed in this film for the Hogwarts scene, again, I'm referring to the Hogwarts scene again because it's also one of the best scenes in this film, is that the professors don't actually wear robes. Now, obviously in Harry Potter they all wear robes, but like in this film they don't. Like, they're all like wearing, early 20th century clothing, and it's just like, it's so interesting. And I don't know if it's just because of the time era, like in the 1920s that was the standard for fashion at Hogwarts, but like, cause like no one except the students wear robes. The students obviously have to wear their house robe, but the professors like Dumbledore and McGonagall, they don't wear anything. They just wear like standard clothes, like a suit and whatever the hell McGonagall was wearing. I don't know, but like it's just like, it's so interesting. It's like, okay, no robes this time. I guess it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just a timeline thing, where in that point in time that just didn't happen. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Now, one thing I liked a lot was seeing the Mirror of Erised return. And the last time we saw that was, well, actually the first film that they had was Philosopher's Stones. It was literally been like, quite a while since the Mirror of Erised. And that it might have been in the requirement. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But still, like, it's just so cool because we could just see the relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald kind of show, because obviously it's been confirmed by the author that Dumbledore is gay, which means that scene where we see him, looking at his deepest, darkest desire, his desire is Grindelwald because they were very close. They were in love. It's a very weird thing to think about, but like, that's how it is, and it's not only interesting to see that relationship, but also just see the Mirrors of Erised again. It's just a slice of a Harry Potter nostalgia, to be honest here. Now, one thing I didn't quite understand about this film is in the scene where Newt is using Relatio on the big beast, pretty much the only big beast we see, kind of like, wander France, I'm pretty sure it was the place. He gets the beast into the suitcase, and then he, he's playing with her. I don't know what he's doing exactly, and he uses Relatio, but he doesn't have his wand. It's like, how does that work? I don't know. It was very confusing. Like, maybe the suitcase has the power to do magic without him having a wand. I don't know. I was very confused about that. I didn't like, what the hell? Explain that. Now, one of the biggest things that this film introduces is Nicholas Flamel. It's so cool to see him. Like, see an actor bring him to life, because he was only mentioned in the Philosopher's Stone. Obviously, that's the UK version of the film. Us Americans got Sorcerer's Stone, which is kind of annoying. I almost kind of prefer the title Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone anyway, so, you know, it's my opinion. But still, like, it's just so cool to see him being brought to life, and for that matter, seeing the Philosopher's Stone cameo, it's just, oh my god, it's so cool. Like, because we've only heard him being mentioned, so, like, seeing him in the flesh is so freaking cool. I just love that. It was just a cool surprise cameo, like, oh yeah, remember that guy that was mentioned before? I was so cool. I love that. Now, one of the minor complaints for this movie was it wasn't really a Fantastic Beasts film. I mean, it was, but, like, it didn't really feature a lot of Fantastic Beasts. Like, the only Fantastic Beasts we got were in the suitcase sanctuary with that Newt has, and then also that giant one that we see, you know, stomping around France. That's it. We don't see anything else besides that. I'm not saying it's any less of a Fantastic Beasts film. I just, like, a lot of people were complaining, like, it didn't have enough Fantastic Beasts, you know. Yeah, a little bit, but, you know, I think, you know, we got some Fantastic Beasts that were just in Newt's, you know, sanctuary, so, you know, kind of give it credit for that, but still, you know, I can kind of see why people would be complaining about that, you know. I didn't feel like the story was really centered on that exactly, so. Because of that, another thing that made this film not receive as well was because of the complicated plot. I definitely feel like the plot was hard to follow, especially with, you know, Credence's origins. Obviously, I said I was going to get to that, and I'm finally doing it now. Credence is revealed to be a descendant of the Dumbledore family, Aurelius Dumbledore, and his origin story in this film is basically the plot of the film. Like, it's not so much a Fantastic Beasts film as a origin story for Credence, basically. I'm kind of figuring out who he is, what his real name is, kind of thing, where he comes from, kind of thing. And, like, his story was just so complicated. I mean, it didn't need to be that complicated, but it was. I feel like it could have been toned down a bit, made it more simple to understand. But I definitely feel like there was a bit of a weak point for this film, was just the fact that it was hard to understand. With you know, when that backstory came into view, it was like, okay, I guess I understand this kind of thing. It's like, okay. But what's really interesting is that at the end of the film, we finally get the plot twist of, oh, he's a member of the Dumbledore family, although he's American, which doesn't really make sense because the Dumbledores have always been portrayed as, you know, British, which is really, really interesting. So, like, I don't even know how he's related to the Dumbledores. Like, I don't know if he's Albus's brother or something like that, although we already know who Albus's brother is. That's Aberforth, but, like, still. It's really interesting because he's American, but, you know, he's part of that family who is British, so it's like, is he just a descendant who happens to be from a different country? Who knows? It's very confusing. I didn't quite understand that. And last but not least, the thing that really made this film controversial, I mean, it scored 33% when it first came out, which is just ouch. I think a lot of it had to do with Depp. Johnny Depp obviously portrayed Gilbert Grindelwald in this film, and, you know, obviously carrying on from the last film, bit of a controversy surrounding the actor himself because of the allegations he's had against his ex-wife. Not that I really care about that, because I just want to see him in a film. You know, I just really, I support him as an actor. I'm not saying I support him as a person. I don't really care. I just, you know, whatever happens is in the past kind of thing. I just am interested in his performance because he was one of the best parts of this film. Like, honestly, his performance was so good. I mean, obviously it's Johnny Depp, what do you expect, but, like, still, I definitely feel like that was, you know, a lot of people were complaining about the film because of the fact that he was in it. Like, you know, no one wants to support Johnny Depp because of who he is, and I understand that, but, like, still, bit of a silly reason to avoid a film like this. It's a great film. It deserved way more than it got. It is not perfect, by all means. It definitely has a couple of flaws here and there, but overall, that's pretty much all I can say about the film. It was just overall really, really fun, entertaining. We got to see Hogwarts again. Everything about this film was just fantastic. But, you know, it is what it is in the end of the day. It's just like it's just another Fantastic Beasts film. I'm really interested to see what the next film's going to showcase, because I don't know what's going to happen in that film, but I'm really excited about it. I don't know. I'm just really pumped for that, because we got a lot of answers for this film. Not everyone liked the answers, but, you know, I certainly enjoyed it. It was fun to see Hogwarts again. That was a really cool part. Like, oh my god, it's so awesome. Like, when I first saw the film in the theaters, I was like, this is the best in the franchise so far. Mainly because they mixed two things. They mixed World of Fantastic Beasts, which is basically just pre-Harry Potter, and then Hogwarts. I mean, seriously, it's awesome. Now, obviously, we're going to get more Hogwarts in the next film, but still, like, ugh. it's just a nerd out moment. It's just, if you're a big diehard Harry Potter fan like me, then it's like a turtle nerd out moment, especially when you hear the Harry Potter theme or Hedwig's theme. It's awesome. So that's pretty much all I can say about Fantastic Beasts of Crimes of Grindelwald. In terms of the title, I don't think it was the best thing they could come up with, but like, you know, it is what it is. You know, the Crimes of Grindelwald is only like I mentioned once, because it's mainly like, you know, focusing on figuring out who Credence is. Not really much on Grindelwald, you know, in his crime, but like I guess it was like, you know, they're trying to stop Grindelwald, I guess. So I guess it kind of makes sense, but still, like, you know, they could have come up with a better name. The way we're complaining with the title was like a bit derivative, didn't really make sense. But like, you know, it's a Harry Potter universe film. You know what to expect. It's awesome. It's Harry Potter, or at least a prequel to it. Anyway, still, I'm really excited for the next one, and that's pretty much all I can say. I'm gonna give this film a. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna give it a perfect score, but I'm gonna give it a close to perfect score. 9 out of 10. I'm not getting a 10 out of 10 because, again, the plot was confusing in itself, and there were a couple of things that I didn't quite understand. But other than that, it was a fantastic film, and I really, really enjoyed it. So that's gonna do it for this episode. I'm so glad I'm finally back with the review. It's been too long. 6 months is way too long to have to put a show on hold. But if you're not, I still have 3 more episodes to go. So we're almost at the end of the show, and then I can finally lay this series to rest. It'll be satisfying, I think. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my second channel where I do reaction videos. The link will be in the description. Also, make sure you click that bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Alright? See ya.